Hello guys, just wanted to share some tips on graph reading because some students are really weak in reading graphs, they said. So just wanted to do a few examples over here. Right, so whenever you see a graph, right, so we are not trying to teach you how to draw graphs over here. I'm just trying to teach you on how to interpret them. That means how to understand those graphs, right? So now the main thing is, whenever you see a graph, right, even when I was doing O levels, I got scared. I used to be like taken aback. I don't know what it is. So because of that, I took one step back and I was scared, right? So the main thing to overcome this is like the difficulty in reading graphs is not to get scared when you see it. All right, that is the main thing important. So just don't be scared. A graph is nothing but a graphical representation of some information. That's it. So I'm going to explain you how that happens, right? And the second point is, try to understand or try to learn what they are trying to say. That is, try to learn the topic in the graph, right? Try to learn the fields or the data in the graph, right? So when you have everything in hand, it's easy for you to come to a conclusion, right? So the main thing here is a graph is like a language, right? I can say, like, if I want to write something, a note, a series of notes, one after the other, one thing happened, another thing happened tomorrow, another thing happened day after tomorrow, like that, I can write it in a table, or I can write it in a notebook. I can do anything like that. Or I can also get that data into one page and draw it graphically so that I can monitor the trend, what has really happened, where it has happened, without all those information writing a lot of notes. I can also put them into their places and into their fields or labels, and I can just monitor the trend by using graphs, right? So there's no rocket science here, there's no magic here. A graph is a simple representation of data, right? So when it comes to science, we are talking about science here. There are graphs like we learned before, we came across a friction graph in our O-level question, and also there are velocity time graphs, there are displacement time graphs, and there are different types of graphs. We are not talking about the maths graph here. Obviously the maths teachers, they would have taught you how to draw them, how to draw tables, and how to transfer those data in the tables into graphs, right? So we are talking about science related graphs. When it comes to physics, so graphs related to science, um, basically those graphs are data or information that are gathered by experiments. So you do an experiment, you gather the data or information that you got from those experiments, and you transfer those data and information into graphs so that we can monitor the trends. All right, so this is the purpose of those velocity time graphs, displacement time, friction, the force against time graphs, those kind of things, right? So what is the main thing when you should do before you read a graph, right? First step is not to be scared of it. The second step is try to identify the topic, or try to identify about what they are talking here. Over here I'm going to talk to you about the ice cream sales from Sunday to Wednesday of Zaina's ice cream parlor. Zaina is my daughter's name, so I'm going to open an ice cream parlor in her name, and then I open it on Sunday. Let's say for the first 4 days, I am going to record the details or the sales data of how many ice creams I have sold for 4 days. All right. So can I write it in a notebook? I sold 50 ice creams on Sunday, I sold 10 ice creams on Monday. Can I do that? Yes, I can do that. I can write it like a note, okay? But reading all the notes will not give me an ability to easily monitor a trend, whether the sales are going up or whether the sales are going down, okay? So can I write it in a table like you see in the right side, right? Can I write it on a table? Sunday I sold let's say 30 ice creams. Monday I sold 40. Let's say it's only 20 ice creams. Then Tuesday I managed to sell another 40 ice creams, and Wednesday I managed to sell 50 ice creams, right? Can I write it this way? Yes, I can. And can I transfer this to a graph? Yes, I can. So I'm gonna draw a graph with the two axes. Like one axis shows the number of ice cream sold here, and the other one shows the day of the week, right? So that is how I'm gonna draw the graph here. So I'm gonna transfer this data in the table to the graph. Sunday I have sold 30 ice cream, so I'm gonna go Sunday and I'm gonna go 30 here. I'm gonna mark here. That is basically whatever I have done on the ground. I am going to transfer those data and information to the graph, right? So same like that, science experiments are done, and then those data and information are transferred to graphs. Or another story, like a car came and a car accelerated, or car went in a certain velocity and stopped here and went there and here and there, changed direction. Those kind of things also can be transferred into graphs. We learn that when we learn about motion in a straight line. Okay, so I'm going to continue with this. Moving on, Monday I have sold 20 ice creams, so I'm going to mark it here. Tuesday I have sold 40 ice creams, okay, I'm going to mark it here. And Wednesday I have sold 50, right? So I'm going to mark it here. So I'm gonna add the dots now. So Monday, like I have started on Sunday. Let's say I sold like this, right? So that is how I'm gonna represent the data in it, right? So I can see that, okay, so Sunday when the day started, I have just started with 0. So Sunday when I open the shop, so I can mark it this way. So from this I can understand that, okay, the sales have started, but that has dropped when it comes to Monday, and it has gone up since Monday. Like Tuesday I have sold 40, and then Wednesday I was able to sell 50, right? So now we'll come to questions. Now somebody might ask questions, once you have drawn the graph, or once they show you a graph, they're going to ask you questions based on that graph, whether to check whether you can understand or you can interpret the data in the graphs. Like graph, like musical notes, using different languages, a graph is also a form of kind of language. That is a graphical language that gives you an idea about what's happening, the idea or the ability for you to analyze or monitor the trend, right? So you're going to ask, okay, somebody is going to come and ask me, what's happening with your ice cream parlor? What's happening with it? Are the sales going up? By looking at the graph, I can tell that yes, the sales are good, going on very well. How am I supposed to tell that? Why? Because by looking at the graph, I know that for the last 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the sales are really picking up, right? By looking at this section, right? So they're going up. So I have sold like 20, then 40, then it has come up to 50, right? So then he is going to ask me again, okay, what was the sales on your first day, right? Then I'm going to look at the graph and tell him that. I can also look at this and tell him, oh, I can look at the graph and tell him the overall picture, right? I can give him the full picture of what's going on with my ice cream parlor, right? So Sunday I can show that, okay, how much did you do on Sunday? So I'm going to check on Sunday, okay, I sold 30 ice creams. And what was the lowest total, or what was the day with the lowest number of sales? I can say that it's Monday. I sold only 20 ice creams, right? So what was the highest day with the most number of ice creams sold? I'm going to say that it was Wednesday, because I sold 50 ice creams. So that is how you interpret graphs, right? These are basics. These are not rocket science. This is just something that is the data, something you are able to write in like a story, but they are transferred to a graphical representation. So what is the important thing? Once again, let me revise. Not to be scared, the first step, and the second step is trying to think what they are telling here. Now what they are telling here is they are trying to show you ice cream sales from Sunday to Wednesday, and what are the two fields, right? So what against what? So I'm going to write ice creams, number of ice creams sold against the days, right? Days of the week, right? So once you monitor this, then you can go on to the graphs what they are saying and what kind of information is in, and what are the values in it against each other, right? So if some value is not changing, let's say for example Wednesday, then I have Thursday, Friday, okay, I started selling the same number of ice cream, the graph will look flat, right? So that is something. If it is increasing, it will go this way. If it is decreasing, it will go this way. Increasing this way. If it is not changing, it will go this way. What is not changing? The day is changing. Obviously, the days are not the same again every day. But the number of ice cream, if they are not changing, the graph will look like a flat one, right? So I hope you understood.